Okay, so we'll be back in 5 minutes time. I'll just leave the screen here. Okay, so welcome back. Okay, so we are missing 2 people. Let's hope they join us. So I was in the process of trying to show us how these forms work. Okay, but it's like the application I want to use would not work for this example. So I'm going to try to use another one just to demonstrate something to us. Let me share my full screen so we can see what I'm doing. Documents and right. Okay, so like I said, the concept of forms is the same everywhere. Either you are writing HTML or you are building a web application with Python, with Java, or with any programming language. The concept is the same thing everywhere. Okay, so I will quickly do one. I hope you can all see my screen, right? Let me allow you to unmute yourself. I need a response. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I want to quickly do one simple fix. This is the application I use to send emails every morning or every time I send emails out to everybody. So it's written in C#, a C# environment. Most developers now likes this black screen everywhere. It's really cool because as a developer, you tend to spend more time or more of your time on the screen. And if you are using, for some of us that our eyes are very good, when you are using the blue screen or the white screen background, it affects your eyes after a while. Okay, so but the black background can allow you to stay almost forever on in your programming environment. So that's why most people prefer the black screen. So can someone give me his or her email? Just say it, I will type it. Who is
IJDM43.
just spell it. IJ
DM.
Yeah, this is it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now once I click on send, okay, before I do the send, this is just a simple form because I just built this in a hurry. Let me show you what the forms look like. This is bulk mail sender. It's a web form application. Where is it here? Okay, so this is the HTML. Can you see it? This is a form right here. Okay, but because it's a web form, that has a special meaning to C#. We are not using action at the end, but the action really is going to be seen in this part of the code. So whenever you use a submit button, okay, it will trigger whatever I've written in this space. So it's exactly the same thing when you have an action on your form. So when I click this send email, it will trigger something and then it will send an email to you. So I'm going to click on send email now. It has informed me that the email has been sent successfully. So if you notice what happened, when I click on send email, it triggers something and this system reload, this web reloaded itself back. So IJDM, confirm that you received an email from me now. Can you do that? Okay, I'll wait to confirm. Let's go on with our why do you do that? Okay, so that is the work of the submit button in line with the action of the form. That's what I just tried to demonstrate to us. Okay, please IJDM, when you have the email, let me know. right?
Yeah, mail received.
Okay, mail received. So that is it. So what I'm trying to say is that you can use a web form to trigger an event to happen. So what in this case, what this code is doing is just to, if I want to send to everybody, I just uncomment this, right? What I should have done is I should have a form or an option box to select send to everybody, send to individual, okay? But this is not basically what I use. I have, if you see my code, I have another console application. So this one will just send to everybody. This is like when you want to blast mail to millions of people, okay? So, but just for me to show you the web part, that's why I'm showing you this part. Okay, so what it's doing is that it will go to this code and then get some of the values out, blah, 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 and then send the email out to you, okay? So how does it send the email out? There's an email template that have been already arranged, but you don't need to bother yourself with that explanation. But what I'm just trying to tell you is that this guy can be implemented as an API also. And so when you implement it as an API, I just call the endpoint and I put it in the form. Where is the form again? I put it in the form action. You see? I put it in the form action. This page. And then boom, it sends the mail. Okay, so that is just what I wanted to show. So I can either, when you click on that send, either I want to store the information I get from this page into my database, or in this case, I just pick this only and then prepare my information locally and blasted the email to you. So this is what we use buttons for most of the time. We need to understand what is happening at the back so that we can appreciate all these things. Okay, so now, after the submit button, we'll talk about the semantic form elements. So apart from, excuse me 1 second. Okay. So apart from the option group in select item or select element, we have other things like a field set with a legend. So I will not bother us with much detail, but what's a field set? After having your form, you have your label, the input, which is a type of text, and then you have, let's go to the page so it doesn't look I'm talking about this form. You can see this form is not properly arranged. Let's quickly give it a facelift. So giving it a facelift will require us to do what? To arrange it properly, right? We already have a placeholder for each one of them. So we can have it in this. I think I need to jump out of HTML now. Okay, we'll name this to last name. I think when you get this, you can be doing this yourself so that we can move forward. Okay, so just put something here, blah, 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 blah. And these are examples, so let me leave it like that. So now, but instead, we can decide to have a what? A legend in this form. So let's show how what a legend is. I'm going to be copying the code of a legend from here to show you how this should look like. Okay, so not this one, where is it? From legend. Okay, so I can't remember where it is anymore. Okay, yeah, this is it. Okay, so we were talking about what? We were talking about field set and legend. So I just want to copy and paste and show you how to use this. Let's see. Let's use only one. It's this. Let's put it here. Okay, so no need to talk much about it. Just see what it does, and then you can explain to me what you think it looks like. Have you ever seen sometimes when you want to group some segments of your form or of a form on the registration page? Let's say you are applying for a job, so they put some segment and say biodata, and they put educational information, and maybe your work experience, and all these things are grouped by having something like a big box around it. Do you understand? Okay, so that is what we call a fit set. So we can have this repeated. I can have another fit set here. Okay, and I can have a legend inside of it. So the legend is like the label telling you what this section is all about. I can just name this first section. Okay, so we have two fit sets on our page now. Let's see. Can you see now? So you have the first section and you have it. So this is the legend, and the fit set is what gives the big rectangle to your form. So depending on how you want to structure out your page, you can apply this. So this is part of the semantic web we are talking about. Okay, so let's go on. Yeah, and the last thing is form validation. Okay, so for example, we are going to test this out too, but I'll quickly type. I don't think I'll copy and paste this. This is quite straightforward. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have an input and you decide to make the type email. Okay, so you have an ID or name, whatever you want to call it, email, and you are closing your what? Your input. Okay, so now this is an email box. Let's see it. Sure. Yeah. I didn't put a label. Let's quickly put a label. Sorry. I think I should close this one. Okay, so I can type anything inside and click submit. You can see that I didn't put an email into this box. When I type submit, it allows me to type submit. Okay, so, but if you need to enforce that whatever is inputted here is in email format, so you need to put what they call required. Okay, so putting this required would ensure that you type in something, not really email. Okay, this is not showing. Okay, I think I need to use it in the context of we need to use it in the context of what's it called, of HTML5. Okay, so let's do that. I have it here. Where's it again? Form validation. Okay, so yeah, let's copy this part and just use it directly. Since we have this different form, let's create a new form. Okay, so exactly what I was trying to explain up here. That's it again. Yeah, required. So the required will ensure that when you click a submit for this form that has a post method, it will do a check on this to ensure that it's an email you put inside. Let's say, for example, I say it's a text, right? I'm using a text now, but let's use our email so that we can be sure. Okay, so save. I'm supposed to save this one, not that one. Save here. Sorry. My system is a little bit not responding. Okay. Let's refresh. So this is it. Now I'm clicking on type. Can you see this that pops out? Please fill out this field, right? So number one is saying this field should not be empty. So if I put something inside and then I'll say submit, can you see what is asking me? Please include that at in your email to show that this is an email field. Okay, so but if I put an email inside, for example, this and do submit, then it's fine. It just posts back and nothing happens. Okay. So, but if I change it to text, I say this is an input type text. Maybe I leave the name as email and I say it's required. So it will not do a validation for the email. So I can type anything in it. Oh, I need to refresh. Let's save it. Refresh. So I put something here. So it just goes, but if I don't put anything inside, then it should ask me to fill it because I have the required field. So this is also an HTML5 validation that you can use to ensure that somebody fills this part of the form before he moves away or before he submits the form. So it's as simple as that. So I think with this, we'll be ending HTML. So any other tag or any other information you need about HTML, you can go to this site, W3 Schools, and learn more about the tags and how they are being used for a web form. Okay, at this point, is there any question? Because we are moving to CSS now. Any question? Okay, no question. So I move. So can someone tell me what, can you tell me what CSS is? Who knows what CSS is? I need a response this time around. Let's get your input. Unmute yourself and tell me what you know about CSS or whatever you think CSS is. Yes, J3, I can hear you.
Okay, for me, it's JB, sir. So basically, I guess it's just used for styling web.
Okay. So when you say
Hello,
styling,
yeah,
I can hear you. So thank you. Yeah. When you say styling, can you go deep? Can you explain further? Just styling. What do you mean by styling?
Okay. By style, I mean giving it more beauty. Okay, like the example you showed us now, you creating the forms and co. So I think we should add 1 or 2 CSS to it to make it more beautiful and more appealing.
Okay, thank you very much. The name is Jay, right? Thank you very much.
JB.
Yeah, JB. Thank you.
I want to contribute to what he has said.
Yes, sir.
CSS is also used, like he said, is used for styling, like floating the various attributes to left, right, and have a page the way you want it. It gives you the length, the colors. You can use different colors to style. You can use different types of measurements in inches or pixels to style your page the way you want it. So you can manipulate.
Okay, so basically just manipulate the web.
Yeah, you manipulate your page.
Okay. Yeah, it's that's wonderful. All the entries or all the things you have said are quite correct. Does any other person want to tell us something different?
I believe that the CSS also helps us to maintain standardization and uniformity of the pages that we are using. For example, you define a certain styling of the page, and instead of you repeating the code over and over again, you simply now inherit the same kind of attributes that you have applied on one page to be replicated in all the pages that you are using and developing. So it actually helps you to work faster and better and have some level of uniformity on your pages.
Yeah, thank you very much. I loved the words that you used. You said inheritance, and it helps you to, inheritance is very, very important, and then you don't have to repeat a lot of things, so you can inherit from different, okay, I think somebody's showing me, sorry, okay. So you can actually inherit from Sorry, 1 minute. I need to ensure one security feature before you throw me out of my own meeting. Someone is trying to do something funny. Okay, all right. So inheritance is very key. Okay, but in general, while HTML helps you to show people or to display or to just show content and tags on your page, CSS help you to style it. But I know I'm using the same word, style, okay? So it helps you to beautify it. That's how I put it. And how you beautify it has to do with you using a lot of things that, as you mentioned, writing a lot of designing mechanisms and all that. And then in between that, we realize that a lot of HTML elements can inherit different styles so that you don't have to repeat yourself. And at the end of the day, the layout and the whole of your website becomes beautiful. So this is very important when we are talking about website design. So in short form, I'm just going to explain and say that CSS stands for cascading style sheets. You know, that inheritance part of it is very important. Okay, so this says that CSS describes how HTML elements are what displayed on either screen. Do you know that you can style your page for mobile? You can style it differently for website. Do you understand? So these are things and powerful things you can do with CSS, and it saves us a lot of work. You know, that's where the inheritance comes into place, like someone mentioned. So you don't have to be writing something all over and over again. Okay, so that is very important. Let's move on to the next one. So what is the CSS syntax? We have two things that we're going to be looking at. We are going to be looking at the basics, and I'll quickly talk about the syntax. So, but let's go to the theory first. So, more description. Okay, so CSS comprises of a rule. Okay, what is a rule? This is a rule. This whole thing we are seeing here, from H1 to this, or let's show you this picture. This is a rule. Okay, when you have P, blah, 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 but this rule is looking funny. So for those of us that don't know what CSS is, so that's why I want to start with this. This is the structure of CSS. The whole item shown in green background is what we call a rule. Okay, so H1 is a selector. What is H1? Remember our tag, H1 tag, that's a header tag, H1. Okay, so let's say on our page, we decide to give all H1 the same font, the same color, the same shape, the same attributes. And instead, and we might have up to 1,000, H1 on our page or the whole website. We can just decide to use one rule for all of them. That's why we say it's a rule set. I don't want to call it programming or styling style. Okay, so we can apply a single rule to apply to all those 1,000 headers, and all of them will appear as beautiful as they can be on different pages as you move along in the website. So that is what we are talking about. So how do you achieve that? That's why we declare what we call a selector, one, and then we have this part that we call the declaration part. So we have the selector part and the declaration part. In the selector part, you talked about the elements. And then in the declaration part, you talked about properties and values. Just like what we have in attributes. Remember, when we're having tag attributes, for example, for an input element, we have a type. The type can either be text, email, and the other ones I said you should look out for in W3 schools. Okay, so now for HTML2, those attributes now is divided into what? Properties and value, and we call it the declaration part. Okay, so this might still look vague, but by the time we start writing it, you would understand. So in this example, we just have the color as a property, and we have what type of color. That's the value, blue, green, red, white. Here we have a font size, and then we can specify the value of the font size in pixel. or in EM, or in other ones that we mentioned in the other class. So you can read what I have on the screen, so I don't need to explain much about it. An example is this, but still, I will explain practically. So we also have this other thing I took from the site, this screen. Okay, it's explained more in details, telling you that this whole thing here, it's a rule. Okay, we have 10 more minutes. This in case the meeting goes off, remember to log back in. Okay, we might spend a little more time today if we all agree, so that we can achieve more. Okay, so from P to this is what we call a rule, and then we have the selector, like the other page explained. We have the font size. This is the declarative part, or the declaration part, which is divided into what property and then the value, right? The name and value. The same thing we have here, property and the value. Okay, so we talked about all this. What are the types of CSS that we have? One, we have what we call inline CSS. Two, we have what we call embedded CSS. Three, we have what we call external CSS. So I'm going to start the practical now with explaining the inline CSS. Okay, let's see some of the pages we have worked on. Where is that other page? To bring this out, so let me just, yeah, this page. Let's work with this HTML5 page and leave the other page. Okay, so we have this. Now, this is an H1 tag. Remember, you can go to the code to see that.
Sorry, sir, you've not shared your screen. We are still on the slide.
Oh, thank you very much. I will share it now. Sorry, I'm sharing. As I was moving here and there, I thought I was sharing. Okay, can you see my code now? Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I said we are moving to this one. Instead of using this where we display the forms and everything. So let's quickly do some example styling here. And we can now see how we can translate our styling to this page too. So it's a gradual process. So we go back to this first web page, HTML5 sample. So we have a tag. We said we have 3 types of CSS. One is inline. Whenever you see style being used as an attribute for a tag, that is CSS. But we call it inline CSS. Inline in the sense that we are using it on the same line, one, and we are using it explicitly for a particular element. It is not the best approach, but sometimes it saves a lot of lives. Okay, so like for example, we can see the way this header is showing here already. Okay, so I may decide that I don't want it in this position. I want to move it to this side of the screen, or I want to move it to the center, or I want to have it with here with another color, or probably remove this bold structure and even reduce the size. Although it's H1 has default size, but I can still reduce it because I'm the owner and the lord of my page. So I can apply a style to it. So starting with a color, I'll say color. This is the property. I'm applying a style, which is the value. I'll say I want it to be of green color. So at every end of statement in CSS, please apply semicolon. Very, very important. Please don't forget. Let's look at what the rule says again. Okay, you can see that in this page, we have semicolon everywhere, right? Even in the other page, we have semicolon. So it is a colon that separates the property from the value. But when you are done with a particular declaration, you put a semicolon to show that this declaration is done. So within a particular rule, you can have several declarations. Okay, so but know that what separates one declaration from the other is a semicolon. let's go on. So I have this. Let's just quickly view what it is. Yeah. Oh, I thought I was working on mail. Okay, I was working on this one. So article heading has been, color has been changed. I can also change the font. This is what I thought I was working on. Actually. Okay, I can also change the font and say, I don't want to change the font. Let's just say I want it to go to the left. I can use the float. So what I want us to know is that in CSS, I'm not going to be teaching each of the properties that you can use in CSS. But with time, you'll get to know them because we'll just be using most of them. And you begin to see that, okay, this is what this is used for, this is what this is used for. Because if we are to go through each of those properties, there are many, especially the Z index and the rest of them. You don't even want to teach it, but we'll get to know them. We can Google more of them and we'll see how it is being used. And one of the things I do is that when I'm not sure of anything, let's say I want to put float. I know that float means let it just be flowing around. So I just type, and then this editor gives me an option. So I will now try the options. I'll try it. If it works, no, this one doesn't work. I'll try the other one. So once I know it tomorrow, when I want to type, I already know what I'm supposed to use. So that method works for me. Okay. How many minutes more do we have? We have like 3 minutes more. But in case this video goes off, once again, please just join all over again. It will work. Okay, so don't forget that I said between a property and a value, we separate with what? A colon. But within a declaration, we separate with semicolon. Sometimes it's not, if you don't put the semicolon, it will not work, but you see the result on your page and I'll see whether you're happy with it or not. Okay, so I'm floating this to the right. Let's see our page. Now my article has floated to the right. Remember again, this your assignment that I asked you to do. I knew that some of you will have problem with it, but I gave it as an assignment so that you can prepare and have what's it called, head start for this CSS training, because I know that you're going to use some of these things here. Okay, so I floated to the right, and I want the style I want the font size to increase. We are just using this little ones so that we can understand. So font size, immediately type font, you can see a lot of things you can do with fonts. They are all here. They are all CSS. You can do a font stretch, font size adjust, synthesis. I don't know what that means, but you can try it out and see what it means. You have font display, blah, 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 blah. So these are, but you know what you want to do. You know how you want to display your page. So quickly, we'll talk about these little things. Then we'll now look at a sample page. Maybe we'll just take a look at this and say, okay, let's lay out this page from beginning to the end. Apply our CSS, and we end the lecture there. Then maybe by tomorrow or Friday, we'll start JavaScript and see how we can bring life into this page. Okay, I think we should start with that. But let's learn a little more CSS. So I want this to be 40px. You can imagine how 40px will be big, right? See the original size. Let's make it 40px. You can see it's now appearing even bigger than the main header page. So that's the CSS. So what I have done here, using this style, is what we refer to as inline CSS. Okay, it's what we refer to as inline CSS from here. Okay, so now we have what we call cascading order. I don't want to talk about that. Let's go a little bit higher. Inline CSS is what I've explained. It says that it applies directly to individual elements with HTML element style attributes. That's what I've done. Then target only that element. I explained that before. I target only that element. Okay, I have less than a minute. In case it goes off, please try to click back on the link and you can join again. So the second one we'll be looking at is the what? The embedded style. or which they call the style here, but I'll just call it the embedded. That's what we'll look at when we come back. Okay, I can even let me stop the meeting here so you guys can join back later. Okay, so see you in 1 minute. Thank you.